Thank you, Mumultier. That's Austrian for marmot. Herzlich willkommen bei die Trinkstrainer UK. Hearty welcome to the Drinks Coach. A very special couple of editions. My wife and I, right now, would be in this country. The flags should have given it away. Or the beer, perhaps. Stiegel from Salzburg, fantastic. This is Austria. We would be around here in Tyrol, near Innsbruck, just south of Innsbruck, near the Italian border. I'd be climbing mountains. I'd be shedding weight, which is something dangerously I'm not doing right now. I'm still in a sweaty flat in Wandsworth. And my wife and I miss our sojourn to our Zweite Heimat, our second home, which is the Austrian Alps. So many shout-outs at this point. Number one, to Austrian marmots. They make oil out of that you put on your joint. I don't know how you make oil out of a marmot. Just boil loads of marmots. I don't know. I'm afraid that's probably how it is done. I've got some food here. Got some sort of like Italian snacky things. Got some Schinken. Got some Alpenkäse. I've also got one of these. This is Austrian smoked cheese. And rather like Foster's in Australia, this doesn't exist. You can't buy this in Austria. Okay. What I've also got is some pretzel. Lovely. Revealing. This is the big reveal. Some lovely wines, which Freddie Bulmer and Ewan Murray at the Wine Society have sent me in. And a couple of others just to fill the story. Today we're talking about white wines of Austria. We are avoiding some of them because I want to concentrate on the grape variety in Austria, which I love so terribly much and is capable of real greatness and also provides amazing value at the entry-level drinking phase as well. And that is the German grape variety or the Austrian grape variety of Grüner Veltliner. Sounds a bit like a dog, like a guard dog or something, but it's far more poetic than that. It's far more delicious, in fact. So I have loads of different Grüner Veltliners to try with you, and we've got one little extra wine at the end, made by a fantastic winemaker, and she's amazing. Without further ado, oh, by the way, my wife did all of this. She drew all the maps and the flags and framed all these wonderful places which I'm familiar with. Mein Lieber Stubai, this is the valley we go to. This is what it looks like when I'm on holiday. With a few more swimming pools and a lot more schnapps. So, rather than messing around any longer, because we're going to do a red wine show on Thursday. This is the white wine show. Let's start with a glass of wine. So, we're going to start off with this. Familia Mantler, Grüner Veltliner, Lösterrassen, 2019. This is an $8.95 touch at the Wine Society. Freddie and Ewan, thank you very much for shipping, basically sending me all of their wines, because I thought if I'm going to do Austria, I didn't know anyone who had a comprehensive range of wines to do it with. And thank you very much, Wine Society, for stepping up. And also the wine, obviously, is amazing value for money there. So, this is made... All right, let's talk, give a bit of a map situation here. My wife created props as well. Another map of Austria. Bregenz, Lake Constance, Switzerland this way, Switzerland around here, Italy down here, Innsbruck there. If you go halfway across the country in Salzburg, a wonderful place where Mozart came from. Then you've got Lienz, and then right up here at the top eastern corner of the country is the capital city of Wien. You've got Klagenfurt down here, you've got Graz, which is the kind of Oxford, Cambridge, almost on the Slovenian border. So if you look at this map, you'll notice one thing. I go on holiday here, and all the wine is here. Yeah, we drink beer and schnapps here. We're hardy at this end. It's all Marilla schnapps, which is Austrian for apricot schnapps, or Williamsbirnen schnapps, which is a specific kind of pear schnapps, or Obstler, a mix of them with apple schnapps, or many other things. Zirben, made from Swiss pine. Extraordinary, but very, very hearty drinks. But we're going to concentrate at this end, because that's where the wine is. Here we go. So we're starting off here in the mainland. You've got Vienna here. The main bit around it is Niederösterreich. This is kind of like the Van der Pey dock of It has some wonderful wines as well. Some of them really excel themselves, as indeed they do in the Vin de Pays-d'Oc in the south of France, in Occitan. But this is really where you're buying your kind of everyday varietal wines from. And Familia Mantler, who made this wine, fantastic family, entirely family run. I think one of the members of the family's off somewhere, being a restaurant manager somewhere, if I remember reading their website. But this is a really, really great example of a varietal Gruner Veltliner. So if you've never tried this grape variety before, I hope by the end of this show you're going to be clamouring for it, because it's brilliant and it has so many faces and it's food friendly, it's refreshing. It kind of covers the satisfaction of refreshment that Sauvignon Blanc gives you, with the body and kind of creaminess and kind of weight of flavour that Chardonnay gives you. And then also it's just fabulous with food. Okay, it's got quite a lot of colour too, if you notice. So, So, what does it taste of? This is a classic varietal example. From being from Niederösterreich at this price, it shows varietal flavour rather than sense of place. A bit like a Vin de Pays Chardonnay tastes like Chardonnay, right? It's got a lovely, fat, juicy fruit flavour, which is kind of pears, apricot. It always has almost like a sprinkling of spice, like white pepper in it, which is a telltale sign for Gruner Veltliner. It took me a long time to notice it, but fresh white pepper does have a kind of a fruitiness to it, which fits in very nicely with the other flavours in the wine. But if you want to try Gruner Veltliner and you don't want to take any risks, and you remember the Wine Society, which I hope you are, then by all means just buy this one. This is under £9 and it's absolutely delicious. If it was in any other supermarket or retailer, I imagine it would be more like 11. I better pour myself smaller samples than that. Moving on. Okay, let's talk about regionality now. The magic of Gruner Veltliner is all about this river here. Longest river in Europe. Anybody know? Danube, correct. And as it comes into the country through Linz and goes through Vienna and heads south, between Hungary and Czechoslovakia, it almost defines the border. It does define the border. You've got this bit here. And these vineyards around here, which have different mineralities, really kind of define the different styles of Gruner Veltliner you get in Austria. We've got the first one, which is Wachau. Wachau's like the Côte d'Or of Gruner Veltliner. The very finest, not all of them necessarily, and not in every year, but the most respected, most prestigious producers of Gruner Veltliner in Austria would be people like Emmerich Knoll. We're going to taste one of those right at the end. What a gorgeous, gorgeous label that is. I had to show you the label and I had to talk about the wine. They're one of the greats. You got Prager, you got Prager, you got Hirtzberger, Nickolaihof. There's all sorts of amazing producers there. But that's kind of like where the real kind of expensive traditional wines that can age for 20 years wines come from. And it's very, what I would describe as Danubian. They're very flinty and steely and minerally and austere. A bit like really good Premier Cru Chablis. Further down the river towards Vienna, you get to Kremstal, which has some of that, but also has a little bit more of the fruitiness that Gruner Veltliner can sometimes be famous for. Also, the Krems Weinschule, one of the most famous wine schools in the world. I was actually invited to lecture there, which is very exciting. But that's really where a lot of the people in Austria learn how to make wine. And then further up into the corner towards Niederösterreich, you've got Kamptal. So you've got Wachau, Kremstal and Kamptal. And then down here, an area which should never be forgotten and make some beautiful valley wines. If I could remember, Weingut Ecke. If you ever buy wine from Knoll Young in Cambridge, Weingut Ecke is from Wagram. Those wines are really, really fantastic as well. And Kurt Angerer is from Kamptal, but he imports both those producers. I'll put them in the lineup down at the bottom, but they're brilliant. Going back to the Wine Society collection, we're going to Rainer Wess. Rainer, classic. Rainer is a classic Austrian name. Wess, it's a father and daughter team. This is from, again, the 2019 vintage, which is a flipping good place to start. They're delicious wines. This wine is a whole pound more expensive than Familia Mantler. Okay, $8.95, $9.95 at the Wine Society. Colour's quite similar, maybe a bit more yellow. Wine's entirely different. It's not just fruit flavour, it's not just fruit characteristic. It's almost like the Mantler is like a hydroponic example of Gruner. This wine has a smell that smells of all those. I mean, if you look at the rocks in the mountains up in the Stubai, a place called a Kalkkugel, which is like an iron curtain of rock, you can smell this kind of gunflint, iron-rich, almost a smell of a sort of like an electric motor energy in the wine. It's a real balance between fruit and mineral, and that's what you expect going up the Danube towards Vienna. Make space for the next three. Now, we're getting pretty serious now. You may know from the Wine Society you have two levels of own label. They have the Wine Societies, blah, blah, blah. And you'll see on Thursday, Freddie Bullman's new absolutely delicious red wine called the Wine Society Zweigelt, made by Hans Igler, fantastic producer, a guy that specialises in that particular variety, which is, it's not Zweigelt, it's a Blaufränkisch. But we'll go on to that next time. I don't mean to confuse you. But here we have Society's exhibition, named after the National Exhibition in 1874, I think was when the Wine Society was founded. Big international exhibition. And this is not just your common or garden own label. This is like the Wine Society's finest, without taking it down too far. And this is made by a producer which I've been drinking. I think the first Austrian wines I drank were Rieslings. Austria makes amazing Riesling. Time for another show, I think. But he also makes amazing Gruner. A guy called Willy Bründlmayer. And I think Willy Bründlmayer's been selling wine to the Wine Society for many, many, many years. And this is the exhibition's own label, Willy Bründlmayer. So we've gone from £8.99 to £9.99. This is 15 quid now. So we've gone up an extra fiver. So you're getting to a much more serious level of wine. Bründlmayer, I think it's Kamptal, I think, is it? Yeah, it's in Kamptal. So he's up sort of like on the border between Niederösterreich and the warmer areas, and sort of like the hills north of Kremstal. Okay, now we're getting serious. Like, we're spending an extra fiver. If you look at it at base level, whatever the Wine Society pay for these wines, we're not paying 50% more. They're paying probably 3 times more for the base wine, with tax and everything included. This is really where the sweet spot is. If you start spending more than a tenner on Gruner Veltliner, you start getting really sexy wines. This wine would keep beautifully, quite sure, for about 5 years, especially in a vintage like this, which is full of ripeness and acidity. Delicious. Ah, smells of honeysuckle, lime cordial, like Rose's lime cordial. But those descriptors are quite similar to Riesling, I think. Those are words I use to describe Riesling. But Riesling has a flow and a smoothness and a kind of a silkiness. Gruner is more Bauhaus. It's got more edges. It's like if somebody put the DNA of something like Sancerre into a Riesling, that's what you get. And yeah, it's fabulous. It's a bit smoky on the nose. You can smell the minerals. You can smell granite and flint. 15 quid of anybody's money. Absolutely fantastic. Okay. Just so we filled in the regions, I've got a couple other wines here. Sorry, Wine Society, but mostly your wines. This is a wine that was sent to me by the Waitrose. And the reason why I want to put this in here is to show that, as exceptional value as those wines are, if you want to go a bit more serious, the wines need a bit more time. This is Felsner, very good producer. Again, from the Kremstal, which is where Wess is from. But on this label, it says two very important things. First of all, it says Kremstal Reserve Alte Reben, which is German for old vine. And this is from the DAC of Kremstal. This is also the other thing on the label that I wanted to show you, is it says 2018. 2018 was a very ripe vintage. I'm sure you remember how warm the summer was. And this wine is now a year older. So it's starting to show more of what Gruner is capable of. I think this is about £18, I think. Qualitatively, very, very similar to Bründlmayer. But it's got the bottle age, which really makes a difference. Now it's smelling a little bit more vegetal. There's instantly a smell of sugar snap peas. I get a kind of pea pod, a bit of pyrazine, a bit of that greenness from a mown lawn. And then there's a smell of deeper fruit, almost kind of quince fruit. Old vine, so much more concentration, intensity. You get what you pay for. Beautiful wine. Wow. Okay, so that's a kind of wine where you wouldn't sit down, unless it was a kind of a chilly evening, you wouldn't sit down and just drink that and smash a bottle after you come back for a long walk, which is what Emma and I do every day on our holidays, with maybe a little shot of apricot schnapps on the side. This wine needs food, needs a little bit of salty ham. It's amazing with smoked salmon, because it's not so high in acid that it makes the salmon feel odd, but it has those flavours that go with salmon. It's almost capery and vegetal. Very, very nice. Oh, you do that. Okay, let's go to the very, very pinnacle of what Gruner's about. Now, these wines are infanticised to drink too young, but let's go back to Emmerich Knoll's wonderful wine. I went out to my local wine merchant, Phil Glass and Swiggett in Northcote Road today. This is the entry-level wine, the Federspiel, which is kind of like the wine to drink early. The premium Grand Cru wine is in Austria termed as Smaragd. So if you see Federspiel and Smaragd's always the more expensive example. I couldn't afford that. Smaragd, Ried, Loibenberg from Knoll is a £50-60 wine. This, which is the entry-level Emmerich Knoll wine, was £29.50. So I paid a few bob for it. I wouldn't have asked the Wine Society to send me this bottle even if they had it. But the Wine Society have sold Prager and Knoll and Hirtzberger and stuff in the past. Just keep on looking at the list. I'm sure some very sexy Austrian wines are on their way for Christmas. Okay, we're in the Wachau now. Kamptal, Kremstal, Wachau. I told you about it being the Côte d'Or, the Grand Cru of Austria. Oh, God. The smell smells like a legion of soldiers are hiding behind a hill and are ready to pounce on you. There's a latent energy and intensity to the wine. I want it to be a little bit more mature. Tough, it's open now. I can drink that with some smoked salmon with Emma in a minute. Oh my God. Amazing energy, amazing acidity, this profound tang that keeps on going and going. And that's Wachau. Okay, so watch out. The wine side's always got Wachau on the list normally. And sometimes you can find a wine that doesn't cost this much. But if you really want to splash out, £29.50 at Justin Knox shop, Phil Glass and Swiggett. This is superb wine. Is it worth 30 quid? Absolutely. Much rather spend £30 on this than a non-vintage bottle of indifferent champagne, without a doubt. Bring us on to the last wine of this segment. Birgit Braunstein. As some of these wines are, this wine is biodynamic. This is like super organic. A guy called Rudolf Steiner back in the 40s came up with an idea of how to make the soil more healthy, to allow the ground to really look after itself. And this has now become the kind of mantra, the religion of some very, very top producers around the world who want wines to be natural, that are worried about how we're destroying the planet. Birgit Braunstein was one of the sort of pioneers of this in Austria. This wine is hand-picked. It's from Burgenland. Now, she makes beautiful red wines, as you will discover on Thursday. But we've been talking about this region here and this region here, the white wine regions. We've not talked about Steiermark at all. That's where Arnold Schwarzenegger's from. Yeah. Get down, the bridge is out. We need a helicopter. That's there. And then we've got Burgenland. And then Leiterberg, which is famous for a particular variety. And you're going to taste Birgit Braunstein's beautiful, beautiful wine from this tiny little vineyard from there on Thursday. But this is Burgenland. It's right butts up against Hungary. It's very warm. And this is a great variety, just to round things off, which is not Gruner Veltliner. I just thought I'd do something different. It's not Riesling, but it's something I think Austria does fabulously well, and it's something that she does very well. And this wine's nothing money. Was it a tenner? I think it's a tenner at the Wine Society, which is extraordinary for what it is. This is Pinot Blanc. If you look geographically around that area, in the northeast of Italy, Pinot Bianco. If you go into Hungary, and you go into Slovenia, and you go to Burgenland, that area around Balaton, the big lake in Hungary, also Neusiedlersee, the little lake in Austria, there's a lot of Pinot Blanc planted. Now, Pinot Blanc sounds like it should be Chardonnay, because of the white Pinot, but it's not. They're not related. But they do share this beautiful, pillowy softness. When I taste this wine, first of all, when I smell it, It doesn't smell of a huge amount. There's a lovely light white sort of flat peach sort of quality, like Bellini quality of fruit, which is rather nice. I don't want it to fall down. No, okay. But it's simple on the nose. When I go into a restaurant in London and I'm going to eat expensively, I can't afford to buy wine and eat all their nice food. So if I'm doing my 5-course menu, what have you, Pinot Blanc is a fantastic choice, whether it's from the Alsace or from somewhere like Austria. Also known as Weissburgunder. It's so pillowy soft in the mouth. It's almost like you've got a cloud. It's like a mist. It's nebulous. That fluffiness reminds me of really superb wines from the Southern Rhone, like Clairette, Chateau Simone White, very special wine from a place called Palette, tiny little appellation in the Provence-Rhone area. This wine has been made by picking the grapes in a field, a meadow of legumes and reeds and grass. It's not manicured, it's proper wild. The grapes have been picked, put in a vat. Maybe a bird shat in it or a spider came over with some yeast on its leg, and it just starts to ferment. And these wines are wild ferments, which means lots of different fermentations are happening at the same time. Rather than just one fermentation that makes a wine taste a certain way, you've got thousands going on. So it has these layers and layers and layers of softness. And I don't think texturally you can drink better than this in the world for a tenner. Well done, Birgit. She's really, really cool. And I shall see you on Thursday. Ciao. Now, where's that marmot? Okay. Yahoo!